Look, I need you to understand something that's absolutely mind-blowing about what the Dodgers are doing right now. We are paying $39 million next season to two closers. Let me say that again slower so it really sinks in. $39 million to two closers, not to two starting pitchers who are going to give us 200 innings each, not to two position players who are going to be in the lineup every single day, two closers, two guys whose job is to get 3 outs, maybe 60 times a season if everything goes perfectly. And I'm sitting here wondering if anyone in the front office stopped for even 5 seconds to ask themselves if this makes any sense at all. Tanner Scott is making $24 million a year. Edwin Díaz just signed for $23 million a year. Combined, that's $47 million annually. But since Scott's deal is prorated and we're looking at next season specifically, we're at $39 million in actual money going to these two guys. Do you know what you can do with $39 million in baseball? You can sign an entire starting rotation of solid middle-of-the-rotation guys. You can get yourself two legitimate all-star position players. You can build an entire bullpen of 6 or 7 reliable arms. But instead, we're putting all of that money into two guys who are going to pitch maybe 120 combined innings if we're lucky. The Dodgers have always been about being smart with money, right? That's been the whole Andrew Friedman philosophy since he got here. Maximize value, find market inefficiencies, don't overpay for declining assets, be disciplined. Well, where's the discipline here? Where's the value? Because I'm looking at this situation and all I see is panic spending on the most volatile position in baseball. Closers are notoriously unpredictable. We've seen dominant closers turn into pumpkins overnight. We've seen guys who can't find the plate suddenly become unhittable. There's a reason why most smart teams don't commit massive long-term money to closers anymore. It's because the success rate is terrible. And we're not just doing it once, we're doing it twice. Simultaneously, we have two of the most expensive closers in baseball on the same roster, and they can't both close games. There's only one ninth inning. There's only one save opportunity per game. So what's the plan here? Are we going to have them split ninth innings? Is one going to pitch the 8th and one the 9th? Because if that's the case, congratulations. We just paid closer money for a setup, man. That's not efficient. That's not smart. That's the exact opposite of what this organization is supposed to be about. Let me break down exactly how ridiculous this is from a practical standpoint. In a perfect world, your closer pitches in maybe 65 games a season. That's if he's healthy, if he's effective, if there are actually save situations to pitch in. 65 games times roughly 1 inning per appearance, that's 65 innings. We're paying Tanner Scott $24 million for 65 innings. That's $369,000 per inning. Think about that number. $369,000 for 1 inning of work. And that's if he's actually good, which last season he very much was not. Edwin Díaz at $23 million for the same 65 innings, that's $353,000 per inning. So combined, we're spending over $700,000 per inning on closer work. Meanwhile, we've got starting pitchers on this roster making $5 or $6 million a year who are throwing 150 innings. The math doesn't math. It's not even close to making sense when you break it down like this. But here's where it gets even more insane. We just won the World Series without a reliable closer. We won it with our bullpen being the 10th worst in baseball by ERA during the regular season. We won it with Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitching out of the bullpen in Game 7 because we didn't trust anyone we had. We won it with Tanner Scott not even making the playoff roster. We literally proved that you can win a championship without having that lockdown closer. And the lesson we took from that experience was apparently to go out and spend even more money on another closer who might not work out. Dave Roberts keeps saying they're going to use both guys in high leverage situations, that they're both going to be valuable pieces. But come on, man, we all know how this works. One guy is going to be the closer, and one guy is going to be the setup man who occasionally gets save chances when the closer isn't available. That's just reality. You can't have co-closers. It doesn't work psychologically. These guys are wired to be the 9th inning guy, the one who gets the ball with the game on the line. When you start mixing and matching, you mess with their heads, you mess with their routines, and inevitably someone's performance suffers. And let's talk about what $39 million means in the context of what else the Dodgers could be doing. We've got holes on this roster. We could use another outfielder. We could use more bullpen depth beyond just these two guys. We could be extending some of our young players to keep them around long term. But instead, we're putting a massive chunk of our payroll into this one position that historically has been proven to be one of the worst investments you can make in baseball. The Padres are spending money smartly. The Diamondbacks are building through their farm system and making targeted additions. Even the Giants are being more strategic with their resources. And here we are, the team with the biggest budget in baseball, lighting money on fire on closers like it's going out of style. It's embarrassing. It's the kind of thing that bad teams do when they're desperate and don't know how to build a winner. Except we're not a bad team. We just won the World Series. We should know better. Tanner Scott's contract is already looking like an albatross. The guy had a 5-point-something ERA during stretches last season. He was walking guys left and right. He was throwing meatballs that got crushed. And we can't just cut him and move on because that money is guaranteed. We're stuck with him. So the logical response isn't to cut our losses and try a different approach. No, the logical response, according to this front office, is to double down and sign another expensive closer with his own question marks. Edwin Díaz has talent. Nobody's denying that. When he's on, he's one of the nastiest closers in baseball. But he's also shown he can be wildly inconsistent. He's had stretches where he looks absolutely lost. His velocity has dipped. He's had some personal issues affect his availability. And we're betting $69 million that the good Edwin Díaz shows up and not the bad one. That's a hell of a gamble, especially when we're already paying $24 million to Tanner Scott to theoretically do the same job. The worst part about all of this is that it shows a complete lack of creativity from the front office. We've always prided ourselves on being innovators, on finding new ways to build winners, on not following the same tired playbook that everyone else uses. But this is exactly what bad teams have been doing for decades. Overpay for big-name closers, watch them fail, overpay for another one, repeat. It's the definition of doing the same thing and expecting different results. I've been a Dodgers fan my entire life. I've watched this team through good times and bad. I've seen smart decisions and I've seen dumb decisions. And this, paying $39 million to two closers in the same season, this is firmly in the dumb category. It doesn't matter how you spin it. It doesn't matter what analytics you throw at me. It doesn't matter what Dave Roberts says in his press conferences. The fundamental reality is that we're massively overpaying for a position that doesn't provide enough value to justify the cost, and we're doing it twice at the same time. So when this inevitably blows up in our faces, when one or both of these guys struggle, and we're all sitting here in July wondering why we're paying closer to $80 million over 2 years for inconsistent bullpen performance, just remember this moment. Remember that we all saw this coming. Remember that the warning signs were flashing bright red. And remember that sometimes even the smartest organizations make really, really stupid decisions. This is one of those times.